Hi all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ronke and I love to talk about travel, career, and general life topics. If that sounds like your sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to my channel. So in today's video, we will be talking about how to build good client relationships. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, of course, you may have your direct clients that you deal with, and some of them might be reoccurring, meaning that you deal with them on multiple occasions. But if you do work in a traditional 9-to-5 corporate setting, you might also be staffed on a team where you will have clients that you deliver products or work items to. These tips apply for both. Before I dive into my tips, I do want to highlight that having good client relationships is actually extremely important. Your clients are pretty much the people who are allowing you to do work and be paid for that work. And more often than not, your next client is probably connected to your current client. So when you have really good relationships with your clients, it can ensure that you have a consistent pipeline or stream of work coming through, and may also help you find new streams of work as well. The number one thing for building great client relationships is having on-point delivery and quality. Ultimately, your client has come to you or your organization because they feel that you are probably the best person that can meet their need. And so it is important that you have great client delivery and quality. So delivery in terms of the work items that you're doing, making sure that you're delivering on time, making sure that you're delivering within the scope or within the metrics of what they are asking you to do, and then making sure that it's high quality. This is not the time for typos. This is not the time for things to be missing. This is not the time to, have any sort of blemish on your work product that's gonna make it look like you either aren't paying attention to detail or that you don't have a good quality review process. This is one of the most important things when it comes to client delivery, because you want your client to always remember that you're always providing top-notch work. The next thing that I would recommend for building a good client relationship is to ask for feedback. Just because you provided the best thing in the world doesn't mean that it might meet all of your clients' needs. And even if it does meet all of your clients' needs, asking for feedback for me is a way to show that you are willing to learn and you're willing to further adapt yourself to whatever the specific needs of your client are. This is good because it does allow you to have some additional conversations with your client, and it could be a way for you to drop some hints about future work that you would like to do with them. And so when you're asking for feedback, ask for targeted feedback. Don't just say, oh, is there anything we could have done better? But ask them about maybe the specific metrics that they've outlined, or maybe metrics that you create. Ask them about the timing. Ask them about, ask them as many pointed questions as you can to make sure that if you have the opportunity to work with them in the future, you can provide an even better item. My third tip is to pay attention to the little things. And for me, paying attention to little things is not just only when you deliver a work product, but along the way, the little things that your client might say, or maybe the little ways that they react to some of the things that you say. I think you need to be extremely attentive to that. Learn how to read your client. Learn how to read whatever their concern is that they might not even know how to vocalize. It's really important to know your client, sometimes even better than they know themselves. You have to understand the way in which your client or clients work, and how that impacts their decision making, how that impacts their spending, how that impacts the way that they prioritize certain work. So making sure that you understand those things and you can pay attention to the little details is extremely important. My next tip would be to speak their language and to communicate often. Most organizations have kind of unique cultures, right? There are certain acronyms that are used, there are certain ways that things are done, there's a certain hierarchy, maybe even to how decisions are made. And so making sure that you have a good understanding of your client and being able to communicate with them and speak their language is extremely important. If they have some set acronyms that they use, this is the time where you find out what those acronyms mean. You distribute it amongst your team if there's a team of folks working with you, and you make sure that you're all able to actively use it. You make sure that you understand the barriers that your client has. You make sure that you understand the systems that your client uses. Whatever it is that's gonna help you to be able to better speak with your client, you need to make sure that you understand those things and that you're actively using them in conversation. The next thing that I would recommend is to learn to provide before they ask. When it comes to client work, once you actually know your client very well, there are some things that you might be able to tell 2-3 weeks earlier that they're gonna need that they might not know. And so being able to foresee those things and either offer it to them or prepare it just to have in a back pocket, I think is extremely important, because that will show your client that you're thinking ahead, and it will also help your client really feel like, oh, this person really understands my need. Even with providing before they ask, sometimes this could be a simple conversation. Hey, we think you're gonna need this in a couple of weeks to make X, Y, and Z decision. Or, hey, This research might be helpful so that you understand more about the background so that you're able to better speak to X, Y, and Z topic, whatever it is that's going to help them. So just make sure that you're thinking about what they need several steps in advance and either getting that for them or communicating that to them in such a way that they're able to better act on whatever decisions they're making. Finally, I would recommend highlighting your accomplishments to your client. Now, I'm not talking about going to your client every single day and saying, oh, well, we just did this and we just did this and we just did this to make it seem as if you're doing a whole lot more than you are. But you do want to highlight the major accomplishments and the ways that you've positively impacted the work, whatever it is that you're doing for them. For some projects, this may happen at a predefined time, but even if you are on a project where that isn't set up or it's not so formal like that, still find a way to highlight what you have done for your client. Highlighting your accomplishments can be important because sometimes your client might forget some of the stuff that you did. And so you being able to bring it back to their attention, the impact that you have, or some key items that you've contributed to will be important. Building good client relationships does not have to be hard. As much as is possible, use the tips that I've offered and maybe see if there's even others from your organization who might be able to give you a good background on certain clients that you all work with. Please let me know down in the comments when it comes to building good client relationships. Are you new to this or true to this? As always, please make sure to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to my channel for more travel, career, and general living topics. See you next time.